Here, we have started the recording. Well, welcome once again to the informational session for the Child Welfare Program position. My name is Surbi Singh, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the executive recruiters here with the Oregon Department of Human Services. We will be covering about the position, what we're looking for, the day-to-day, all fun stuff about the position, and why you should join ODHS in the hour we have today. And we'll be hearing from our hiring committee here, and we'll go through the agenda. At the end, we'll have time for Q&A, but feel free to put your questions in the chat. And at the Q&A session, feel free to raise your hand or put in the chat, and we can answer your questions accordingly. But we have a packed agenda, so we'll get going on this. I've introduced myself, so I'll move it over to Kara.
Hi, everybody. I guess it's still morning. Good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for coming to learn more about this position. I'm Kara Dodson, and I'm the Senior Operating Manager here for Child Welfare. I was formerly in a Program Manager position at our East Branch office, so I'm looking forward to sharing with you more about the job. And Marissa, would you like to go next?
Happy to. My name is Marissa Moon. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the district manager over ODHS services here in Multnomah County, which we call District 2. I too have been a program manager, and so am very excited to be here with you all today to talk through this position and walk through kind of what a day in the life kind of looks like for a program manager.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Marissa. Appreciate you both. So, while be welcoming applicants, I'll let them in the room as they join in, but we'll get started off with our agenda. As an FYI, this recording will be available later in case anybody needs it for their reference, and we'll be sending to future candidates, applicants as well. With this, we'll start with the question that I have, and I know our applicants would like to know is that what is the vision for the position for the Child Welfare Program Manager position?
If it's okay with you, Kara, I'd love to kick us off and then pass it over to you afterwards. Fantastic. So from the position, the vision for the position is to really provide day-to-day leadership for a thriving branch in our North Portland area. It's in the Alberta community. The community in Portland in Alberta is a very tight-knit community, and we are part of that community as well. So the vision for this position is to provide that day-to-day overview, but also to be a leader who has that strategic perspective to look at where are we needing to make some changes, how are we able to then support those changes in the work to better improve outcomes for children and families that are in our community. So really it's this sort of outward and inward facing approach of a position where you're inward facing to your branch, the Alberta branch, which has about 100 people in the branch, and you're outward facing to community to provide that bridge and to connect in with community to hear what they are, how they are experiencing the services of ODHS. This branch is also one of our branches that is co-housed with our anti-poverty programs locally, which is our self-sufficiency programs. That's a pretty exciting partnership that we have with our self-sufficiency programs. So folks are able to get a holistic support while they are here working within any of the ODHS services in North Portland.
Thank you so much, Marissa. With this, as you've talked about the vision for the position, what kind of, we've mentioned our attributes in the job announcement, but would love to hear from, you both, what kind of skills and experiences would this, person in this role would require in order to perform the job?
Absolutely. I'll kick us off and then Kara, please jump in. From this position, first and foremost, we're looking for a leader who has an equity lens. We're looking for someone who leads from an anti-racist approach and who can help our team here locally understand an equity approach versus an equality approach as well. We really want someone who's able to lead and support teams to identify, interrupt, and stop racist practice and continue the work that we are tasked with doing from our legislation. We're looking for somebody who has some leadership and management skills. And so we were really hoping for somebody who's able to lead, motivate, develop up supervisors and their teams. We want someone who has strong decision-making skills, decision-making ability, and problem solving. This job requires us to think outside of the box quite a bit, and to really be hands-on at times. We need somebody who has the capacity to look at and manage budgets and resources and caseloads across their branch, as well as has skill in strategic planning and implementing policies as they are changing from our central office and from our legislation. We want somebody who has some knowledge in child welfare or in safety programs, as well as policies, or the ability to learn those pieces as well. We want somebody that has the skill in conflict and resolution and negotiation, and the ability to understand and interpret data. All of these things are absolutely things that we will walk alongside of this leader in helping them develop if those skills are not already in their portfolio. But we want somebody that can absolutely have some of these items too. There's a couple more skills I'd like to mention, as well as we'd like to have somebody who has empathy and cultural competence in their approaches. We want somebody that has that strong interpersonal skills to build trust with community and with the team, which is a multicultural and multilingual team here. We want somebody who is able to handle and manage situations that can be complex and can be quite heated at times in a way that shows compassion and helps folks to feel heard and seen. We also really are looking for somebody who has analytical skills and critical thinking skills to help us to empower our supervisors to really be using skills to analyze complex situations and then help them to get to a place of really appropriate intervention. The last couple are quite important. Somebody with organizational skills who is able to multitask and manage competing demands. It's quite a relentless job at times. And so having somebody that can kind of manage and keep on track of all of the different things that are sort of coming their way is really important to us. The last piece that I will mention is we really want somebody who has that ability to collaborate and network with community and with other folks across the state so that they can build those relationships with community and with other folks doing this work and within this system. I am sure there are other skills. Kara, did I miss any that you would have highlighted?
No, I think that is a really good summary. I was just thinking about, yeah, those interpersonal skills are just so important, and clear communication. And there definitely is a pace to the job that can be kind of like hard at the very beginning, maybe to kind of get in touch with, but it definitely needs somebody that's very like adaptable and flexible and able to kind of jump into situations and help with.
Challenging yet rewarding at the same time. Wonderful. Thank you so much. What would you say the day-to-day looks like? And I'm gonna combine it with the next question as well. Like, what does the day-to-day look like, and what makes it so exciting, this role? And what the day-to-day can vary, is it the same? And what does it make it exciting?
I think I'll go ahead and answer this one, Marissa. But day to day, I would just say I hope you're all very comfortable with meetings, because there are a lot of meetings. And we meet. What I love about program manager work is just the building of your team and all the internal structures that you have within your management, your leadership team. We meet. We also there's a lot of support just within the core program manager group. And we meet regularly. Program managers also take on a special role as what we call a sponsor of a specific program. So a program might be like Child Protective Services or permanency or certification. So you're also getting to know other supervisors outside your branch and getting to kind of really dig into a specific program area and help that supervisory team kind of learn and grow. There's there is, in a typical day, you're doing, like I said, a lot of meetings. You're meeting with your supervisors one-on-one to do clinical supervision, which is really amazing. You're facilitating your leadership teams, your management team meetings every week. You are also having meetings around kids that are maybe struggling. Maybe we're struggling to find an appropriate placement. And so you're bringing in like in multidisciplinary teams to kind of talk and process and problem solve. We do have a fair amount of multidisciplinary meetings that we also attend pretty much bi-weekly. And there's several of those on our schedules where we're really talking about complex cases where they have multiple systems involved, like law enforcement, maybe medical, our Northwest team. And so we're getting together to talk about those families, help and support and keep kids safe. So there's definitely a fair amount of that. We do some really district-wide staffings that are called high-risk staffings. We spend a lot of time with our program analysts and our program consultants to really dig into complex and difficult cases where we might feel stuck or we're not exactly sure where to go. So yes, a lot of meetings, but a lot of dynamic, a lot of very different meetings. And I will tell you, your day goes by like that. I mean, it is fast paced, but time just flies, and it definitely keeps your mind, active and busy and thinking. One of the things that I love the most is about being a program manager is just leading teams. And we do a lot of strategic planning through the year. And we also take on special projects when we see that there's areas within the programs that might need different kinds of support, or maybe a deep dive to kind of see what's going on and try to figure out how to improve. We look at data all the time. And I think what is really amazing is when you take a group that a few months ago talked about trying to increase a data point and trying to improve practice, and everybody's feeling overwhelmed and they can't do it. And then you come up with a plan, and a few months later, you have seen so much growth, and people are so energized and excited about being able to wow, this really worked. We're doing something really better. We're seeing the results. We're seeing how our families are responding and reacting. And that is the super excitement about this work. And you also see it just even on a micro level with just individual supervisors when they're able to coach and support their staff. When you see staff that are in a really tough case, and you just see so much learning and growth that happens through that process, it is truly it's truly beautiful. And then of course, the very best one is when we're able to get kids home with their families, and you see their families just really thriving and happy, and in just a very different space than they maybe once were.
Thank you for sharing that, Kara. That is empowering and just so heartfelt at the same time, at just sharing the mission and with the real mission behind for this role. So thank you. Anything else you would like to add about what makes the role exciting, Marissa?
I think Kara captured it really, really well. The only other piece that I would say that makes this role in particular really exciting is that you're able to see people operationalize concepts such as we have a vision for transformation here within child welfare, and we also have what's called a RISE culture that we are following, and then we have an equity North Star. So we're able to, this position in particular puts things into place for us in the branch to manage and to get us on our pathway to those things, and you get to see the fruits of your labor, so to speak, as well from this position, which is really exciting when you start to kind of see that shift and you see the knowledge deepening in the staff of the branch as well.
Appreciate for sharing that. Thank you. One of the things that you mentioned, Marissa, like, the skills and the attributes, needed, and there would be support along the way. That leads to my question would be, what does the onboarding and training plan would look like?
Oh, I'd love to talk about that. Um, First and foremost, it would be specifically tailored to the person who comes into this role. And we would have what we call a 6-month onboarding kind of and training program. Some of it is very formal, some of it is a little bit more informal, and some of it is done directly with Kara, who is the person who directly manages this position. So formally, there is some trainings that we would have this person undertake. Um, and informally would be things like other things across the district where they would participate or shadow or observe before then they are doing it for themselves as well. We have a pretty robust training plan that we would put into place, but we would also tailor it specifically to whoever the successful candidate is so that we are meeting whatever needs that they have coming into this position or what areas that they are needing to kind of deepen. For example, if they're from outside of the agency and coming into this position, then they're going to need some time to get to know our online system that we use to capture data in our case noting system as well. That somebody that's coming from inside of the agency would not necessarily need that. So we would really look at who the person is and what they need for them to be successful within this role. Additionally, on top of kind of that onboarding plan, what we also do is weekly supervision sessions with Kara, and then there's regular time with their peer managers. This position is one of 6 in Multnomah County, but it's one of a larger network across the state. And then there's also time with me that they would have as their district manager as well. So it's kind of a combination of a lot of different pieces for that onboarding and training plan.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anything to add, Kara?
No, I don't. And I'm so sorry, but I got it. I had a call right then. I had
No
to text
worries.
somebody and let them know I'll call them back in a few minutes.
Completely understandable. Thank you. So, the next piece is the work schedule, any travel required. If you can highlight, we have put it in the announcement about what the requirements are, what the day-to-day, but if you can talk about what the work schedule would be and any travel requirement, whether like, of course, this position is in Northeast Portland, but any across the state traveling, any conferences, if you can talk about that, that would be wonderful.
I can kick us off, and then Kara, if you want to follow up. For the work schedule, this is a primarily in-branch role because you are really needing to be around the staff that you are supporting. We do have some availability to do hybrid work as well, but in general, this is more of an in-person position. Folks are usually in branch, and our branches are open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, this position is a managerial position, and so there will be some flexibility that needs to happen on either side of that. There isn't a whole lot of travel that happens from this position. There are some statewide meetings that would happen across the state of Oregon. Sometimes they're in Salem, sometimes they're in other places. The team has gone to Bend and a couple of other places as well. Those are well known in advance as to when those are coming, and it isn't frequent. It's usually like once a month that that travel is happening. The only other travel that occurs is across the district. So there might be some travel to one of our other branches. For example, our East branch. This position goes to our East branch every Monday morning from 8:30 to noon for an in-person meeting. So there'll be kind of that type of travel that is required as well. This person also would participate in what we call an on-call schedule as well, and that impacts their work schedule. So they are one of the 6 program managers across the district, and so they would be on call for 1 week every 6 weeks, rotating through that time. there's a huge system in place underneath that on-call program manager. They're kind of the last stop. And they're not even really the last stop because Kara and I are both available as well for any support that is needed. But we have after hours program team, we have workers that are doing the work, and then we have an on-call supervisor. All of it goes kind of through those folks first before it comes to the on-call program manager who is then available. So that is something that folks need to be aware of, that you would be on call for 1 week at a time, about every 6 weeks. And it's from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next morning while you're on that on-call time period. Some weeks you don't get any calls at all, and other weeks you get calls a lot. There's no, as far as I can tell, rhyme or reason to it. Kara, what did I miss about
I would just say, I would just say more specifically around, we do have statewide program manager meeting where you get together with all your peers from around the state that are program managers. Happens once a month. Every other month it is in Salem, and the other months it's virtual. So it alternates virtual and in Salem. And then that meeting about twice a year, they send us somewhere 2 days out of that month and say, can you hear me?
You were
my
cutting out a
internet
bit
is
for
saying
me.
it's unstable. Oh, sorry
No,
about that.
it's good now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. About twice a year, they usually have, and again, well ahead of time. I think last year we had one that was in Hood River and another that was in Bend. But those are, again, kind of those 2-day, all of the statewide program managers get together to meet and usually have some kind of project or something you're working on. So those are very worthwhile and very helpful. I'm trying to think other travel. No, I mean, usually most often if you're traveling anywhere out of the city, it's just to Salem.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This leads to our next piece, which is the recruitment facilitation and tips. I'll cover some pieces. Please feel free to add if you like, Kara and Marissa. In the announcement, you must see that we want to see how you meet the minimum qualifications for this position and the attributes we're looking for in the person in this role. So those are clearly mentioned out in the job announcement, and we would love to see how you bring those relevant experiences, your professional background, in your resume and cover letter. If you have any technical difficulties either uploading your attachments or anything, there's my email at the end of the announcement. I'll put the link to the announcement in the chat here right now. Feel free to email me those before the deadline of the position. And I'll be happy to upload those for you within Workday. So happy to address any, help with any technical difficulties around those. It's important for us because we have two sets of screening that takes place. First, we want to see if you meet the minimum qualifications for the position. And the minimum qualifications are 6 years of supervision, management, or progressively related experience, or 3 years of that experience and a bachelor's degree in a related field. So that would be our first thing to see if your application materials meet that. And the second piece is the attributes we've mentioned. We've talked about, Marissa and Kara very wonderfully explained about proven leadership in child safety, expertise in child welfare or safety program, data informed decision maker, that the analytical piece of it, collaborative community partner. There's a lot of community of color involved. So we want to make sure that your experiences are bringing forward about the collaboration piece. Your leadership is equity focused. You have culturally competent supervision experience, strong operational oversight, those organizational skill, the overseeing pieces of it. And last but not the least, the supportive workplace champion. So we want to see those things with your application materials. So please make sure that these are part of your materials there. Again, if there are any questions, if you're having difficulty in uploading within Workday, feel free to email it to me, and I'll be happy to assist you with those. So these are the things that I wanted to talk about, the application materials. Yeah.
Serby, can I just add, I
Yes.
think within the application materials as well, it says that if you don't have 6 years of management, that you also can have a relevant degree.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think it's less
Three, yes. If you don't have the 6 years of supervision or management experience, it says an or there. Either if you can have 6 years, if not, then 3 years of related experience, the management, the supervision experience with a bachelor's degree. So you'll see those pieces there, and I'll put in the chat as well. Thank you, Marissa.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that folks are still considering
Yes,
applying, even if they don't meet that 6 year mark,
yes.
because we certainly could support.
And I always say, please apply. If you're not sure, if I'm missing, a few months here or that, it's always good to apply. Let the subject matter expertise go through your application materials, see if not, sometimes we can be, very self-critical of, oh, should I apply or not? If this related or not, is this experience relevant or not? But making sure that you're doing your best in putting in those applicable experiences, and please, apply. No discouragement. So please, fully encouragement of if you don't have the full 6 years, then the 3 years and a bachelor's degree, along with how you meet those attributes, it's critical to mention in your application materials. So I'm putting the job announcement in the chat as well so that everybody can access it. Yeah. This next piece, followed by, as I said, we have two sets of screenings that'll be taking place. Followed by that, we'll be selecting top candidates to be invited for the first round of interviews. In the announcement, many of you must have seen there's the interview timeline here, and I will put in the chat as well. We're looking at once our position closes on August 6th. Followed by that, we'll be conducting the screening of the application materials we'll receive. We're looking at doing first round of interviews. Those will be conducted by a vidcruiter. It's a video recorded online platform. It's except the interaction of the panel to the candidate, everything else is the same. The panelists review your answers, assess your content, and from there we go on for panel round of interviews. So the first round of interviews we're looking at the week of August 11th. The second round of interviews would be a live virtual interviews, panel interviews, and those would be on Tuesday, August 26th. And the final round interviews where the decision would be made is Thursday, September 4th. And I will put these in the chat as well. Yep. So this is what the process would be looking at. Again, this is tentative. Sometimes things may happen, life may happen. But again, this is what we're looking at as our plan. We wanted to provide, so we know it's hard to sometimes take off from work or just schedule. So we want to be mindful of, and will be communicated way in advance of if you're being invited for interviews, what the process would look like, and throughout it. So, but again, if there are any questions, I'm just one phone call or email away, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about the timeline or the process here. With this, I'll open it up to our audience. If you have any questions, feel free to, come off mute, raise your hand, or put put your questions in the chat.
Yes, my name is Kylie Russell. I use she, her pronouns. And I have just a quick question, or I have a couple, but just thinking out loud, is there like a measurement of success that you would envision for somebody in this role? I'm not really sure kind of if those metrics are utilized in that way, but just kind of seeing what someone would, how successful that would look like.
I would love to kick us off on this one. Definitely, we have that. First and foremost, we expect that somebody coming into this role has a whole lot to learn. And so we would be expecting that as the measure of success is them learning and understanding the role and getting into kind of the nitty gritty of the different parts of the role. So we honor that it's a big job, and we want you to have the time and space you need in order to get yourself to be familiar with it. We use data as a huge component of our vision for transformation. And so we have federal measurements that we are measured against, as well as statewide ones too. The program manager is responsible for helping their team to make sure that they are meeting those requirements that we have statutorily. So for example, it is getting a child home in specific timelines if they or getting a child to permanency if they have had to be removed from their family. Other ones are completing our assessments in our child protective services within a 60-day time period. So there's some components there that we would be looking at as part of what might look like success. Perhaps equally important, if not more, is how is the team feeling from this person's leadership? How is the team feeling supported? And what that doesn't mean is that they're getting everything that they ask for, they get a yes to. It's do they feel supportive? Do they feel like they're having a transparent leader who's telling them the why behind their decision making as well? And that helps kind of us gauge how things are going, as well as community. If community is reporting to us, oh, I'm seeing this, or I'm hearing this, or I engaged with this person, and this person has really made me feel heard and understood, and I can see some differences in what's going on, that's success to us as well. So it's not simply like a number on a piece of paper. It is more rounded than that, and we certainly expect that this person would take time to acclimate to their new role and start to learn what all of that means, and how does that all show up, and what can they do about that.
And I would just add that, it's saying my internet connection is not working. Can you guys,
maybe go
am I
off
breaking
camera.
up
It
again,
might help.
or is it
Sometimes
okay?
it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Oh.
It may not.
I was just going to add that, part of what's so dynamic about these positions is that each of our branches are, they're very unique. They have their own cultures, they have their own strengths, they have their own areas that are really, that we want to grow, and we want to, do better and do more. And so it's really kind of tapping into that. And there's no like complete secret sauce. But what we do have is a great team. There's a great core team that have been through a lot of the challenges, and so it's a wonderful team atmosphere to share and exchange ideas and thoughts and learn from each other. And it's very, very supportive in that way. And as soon as you feel like sometimes you'll get this thing kind of grappled, and then something else will pop up and you'll be like, oh, okay, okay, let's go after that one. So it's super exciting that way, and dynamic. And yes, it's strategic, and yes, we use our data, on a daily basis, but it is also kind of changing and morphing too.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? I'm seeing the chat as well.
Hi, my name is Michaela Avery. I was wondering what do you guys see as the biggest strength of Alberta Branch, and also the biggest area of growth?
Gosh, great question. Area of strength, one of them that just off the top of my head is our whole district has really been struggling with our child protective service assessments and making sure that they're done within 60 days and trying to decrease overdues. And the CPS team just did an amazing job at kind of cutting through some of those, and made some great strides in getting those assessments completed. That's one. Marissa, do you have
Absolutely.
any more that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. I have had the privilege of kind of walking alongside of this branch for a few years now. And one of the things that I enjoy most about this branch is they have the ability to pull together when there is somebody who needs some support. People don't feel alone in those moments. They know that the community of the workers and of the staff here at the Alberta branch, that they're always going to have somebody having their back in those situations. And that's a really good feeling for folks, is that they're not on their own. The other thing I would say is there is a real build of community here as well, that there's a clear identified branch culture within the Alberta branch. They just participated in painting a mural outside of the branch, which is absolutely stunning, done with community. And that's something that our other branches don't have as strong in their cultures of their specific branches that the Alberta branch definitely does. The branch is seen as part of the community versus in other branches, it's not as necessarily. So that's a huge piece for me that I see here. You also have a vast knowledge of within the workforce that is here. You have, we just had a CPS worker retire that had been here for something like 30 years, which is pretty unheard of for somebody to stay in that job for that long. And you have supervisors who have been here for a significant amount of time and are really dedicated to this work alongside of their staff and support staff. So there's a lot of knowledge and expertise, and there's also a lot of really clean systems put in place here that this person could grow and further develop with the support of the supervisors and the staff, as well as their areas of strength. From my perspective, from areas of growth, I would say that this branch has, Kara nailed it when she said that they've really been tackling kind of how to reduce those overdue assessments, because we know that families deserve to have closure from their engagement with us in a timely manner. There are some data points that this branch is still working on in trying to kind of figure out different ways of getting the work done in a timelier manner. I would say that this branch is also working, we have a family preservation unit. The family preservation unit is doing a phenomenal job of keeping kids at home because they're able to put in supports for safety for them to stay at home. This branch, though, needs further support around that to kind of rally around that particular unit so that that unit can continue to grow and expand as well. I'm sure there are other areas of growth. Those are the two that came up in my mind. Kara, do you have any that you might want to add?
No, I don't think so. I was just thinking, I was looking at some data, and another one of their strengths is really around child contact. And we've definitely in the last few months seen some growth in that area, which kind of everything comes from child contact. Caseworkers that are having regular contact with their children, we know that those children are going to be safer and their well-being needs are going to be better taken care of. So that was exciting to see. And I know that they are also working on increasing and improving parent contact. And so that's an exciting area to kind of watch, because we know if you're having contact with your parents, that means that you're meeting with them regularly, you're giving them feedback, you're doing that face-to-face, you're doing engagement. Parents are more involved, and often they're also visiting their children more. And those are all good signs and indicators of kids returning to their parents.
That's great. Thank you for sharing those. Oh, I see your hand raised, Phil. Maybe they're trying to unmute. Let me see if I can mute you here. I mean unmute.
Okay, I think I have it. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Betty Dunbar. He, she is my pronoun. The question was already similar to what was asked earlier about success and how it was measured, but I kind of wanted to also ask about if there is an evaluation process and how does that work?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So it's not we definitely have an evaluation process. This person and anyone who's coming into the agency in a managerial position has a 1-year trial service, it's called, where you're getting to know the job, you're getting to know the expectations of the job, and we're getting to know you as well. So in that time period, folks are able to kind of have really good conversations with their manager around where are areas that they need to kind of improve upon, or where are areas that they're really already shining within. So we also do quarterly check-ins around that as well. So it would be quarterly. There is one at 6 months for folks that are coming in new, and then there's one at 1 year as well, where you're really walking through kind of what are some of those areas that we want you to start to focus on or create goals upon for the future, and what are areas that that you're already nailing and we see you shining in. We talk about kind of all of that within those check-ins and those and within that time period. Does that help?
Yeah, yeah. Just kind of wanted to have just a little idea on how that process works. Yeah. And I do have one more if I can ask. Work-life balance. How does that apply to your organization, and how is that encouraged?
It is absolutely encouraged, and it can be tricky because of the nature of the work, because the work is so important and is so complex at times and nuanced at times. It can be hard. So what we try to do in order to have a better work-life balance is we try to create really robust systems that support the program managers and the supervisors to leave work at work, and that we have somebody else that's going to kind of pick it up and take it for those after-hour time periods. That we have found far more effective than other things that we've tried to do in the past around work-life balances. By us building those systems, we then are able to direct the work to those systems and have them pick up the kind of work after hours. Now, those systems are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We had a situation recently that we debriefed, and we've got some learning from that incident. But in general, it works pretty well, and it feels a little bit more like a well-oiled machine now than it has in the past. And we've had kind of our after-hours system in place for a good 3 years now, maybe even 4. And so it feels a little bit more like we have a solid system there. We try really hard not to connect with folks outside of work hours. We sometimes have to, but that is kind of our leadership style, is to try really hard not to, so that folks really are able to get just a tiny bit of relief from the work when they're at home, and focus on their home life as well, because we know that if you have that balance in place, or at least are working towards that balance in place, that you will be even more efficient at work as well, because you're getting the rest you need and the outside experiences from work you need to. But definitely not something that is just ingrained in the work. The work is always here. The work is always going to be here. And so for us, it's about how do you kind of give yourself permission to walk away from it at night, so that you can be done for the day, or not come in super early the next day, and really have those balances in place. And it takes reflection, and it takes other people helping you to get to that place, in my experience. And maybe like your manager saying, hey, I noticed you've been working late a lot. Let's talk about that. Let's think about that. Let's figure out what else we can do to make it so you can go home and kind of unwind a bit more too.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I see Michaela put in the chat, what type of references would be ideal? We would definitely need some supervisory references as well, or managerial references of people who have managed you. And then other types of references to support that. All of what you put into the chat would be wonderful. So things like families that you have worked with, or community partners. But we definitely need at least one, if not two, would be ideal, of previous supervisors that can speak to that. Serby, I want to pass it to you because that's
Yes,
a question.
we usually ask at least, three supervisory again, if you have two, one current, one recent ones, and depending on what capacities and what kind of background, if you've worked with, and depending on the capacity. So, but yes, supervisory managerial are a must, along with others are definitely welcome to get, an overall sense of your experiences. But again, managerial supervisory references are must. There's one thing that I wanted to talk about. I apologize, I missed it when I was talking about the minimum qualifications and essential attributes. It says preference would be given to candidates who are bilingual in Spanish and English. So yes, it's not nothing if you don't have that. It's not like, okay, minus points. But again, this community has a lot of, Spanish speaking communities, families. So we want somebody who has, this skill set with them. So I would love either Kara or Marissa if you want to, elaborate on that, of how, Spanish, that skill is very important and why the preference is added here in the announcement.
It's definitely it's for all the reasons you said, Serby. It's also for just an understanding of what that that community experiences, and an understanding of culture as well, so that you can help to support the workforce to come into the work with a culturally responsive approach too. So it's kind of the both and for us that we're really hoping for. Definitely Spanish speaking and Latinx communities, but also any families of color as well, as we disproportionately are impacting families of color within our system.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Seeing chat. Thank you for addressing Michaela's question. So I appreciate that, Marissa. Okay. We do have time, so this is time for you to ask questions. Anything else you would like to learn about the position? Any questions about the recruitment process? Anything else?
I had one additional question, just related to supervision, and curious about how many staff members the program manager will be supporting and overseeing.
Great question. Right now, this position oversees 9 supervisors. However, that sometimes can fluctuate and change. But for today, it's 9. And then let me double check that.
I think it's 8 right now.
8. As I was saying it, I was like, no, it's not. It's 8. But we sometimes shift that and do that. But indirectly, this position is also overseeing a full branch. And so there are people that you don't directly line manage, but you are there and in the branch as a support to that person as well, that your fellow program manager directly line manages them, but their work is so integral to this branch. I'll give you an example is we have office manager who manages all of our office administrative staff. That person is not managed by this position directly, but they're located here. The staff do the work here. And so you're indirectly seen as a program manager of support for that team as well. Kara, what would you add? Is that accurate?
No, that sounds about right. So our 4 branches are aligned and very similar, have similar in that who they supervise or who is in their management team. So they basically have 3 programs. So they are supervising child protective services, permanency, and then the third is certification. So all 4 branches have those same 3 programs that the program managers manage.
Wonderful. Thank you. Questions?
I've worked with most of you, so I always come with lots of questions to every meeting. I know that some supervisors do like team building with their individual units, but what does team building look like with the branch manager's involvement? Like, what kind of things do you do with supervisors, but also like with caseworkers and on-the-ground workers?
That's a great question. That depends really on who that person is and what they bring and what their preference is. Typically, we wouldn't do that in isolation. We would do that in coordination with and communication with the supervisors for sure, and come up with ideas and plan with them accordingly. So sometimes that can look like an away day where you have kind of a full agenda of what you're going to go through, and some of that is team building and some of that is information sharing. And that can be kind of part of how you approach this work as well. So certainly we are open to that and we encourage that, but there's not sort of a one size fits all for the district. So we encourage folks to kind of think about what would work for that particular branch. And we ask the supervisors to heavily weigh in on that because they know their units really, really well as well, and or themselves as far as what they kind of would want to do and where they're needing some support too. It also might be things like with groups. So this person will have a meeting with sort of their program areas where they're providing leadership to all of the supervisors who manage child protective services at once. And it might be kind of within that space that they're doing some team building and some rapport building. And it might be the whole group. You know, it kind of varies on what is needed and what the supervisors are also kind of communicating with them.
Thank you, Marissa. Just doing the counting in my head in case other questions comes up. Let me see, chat. I've put my email in the chat. It is on the announcement as well. Once we're done, we have concluded our session. We'll get this on YouTube as well, and I'll be sending out the links in case the team wants to, go back and listen to what we discussed today. Just helpful to know in the future. But again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly either. So happy to help. Okay. If there are no other questions, Marissa or Kara, would you like to add anything before we say goodbye?
I would just encourage you all to apply and to ask any questions in between directly to Serby. We are really excited about this position and we really want folks to apply.
Yeah.
And thank you all for coming today.
Yes.
We really are so glad to see all of you here, and thanks for your wonderful questions.
Well, thank you for your valuable time, Marissa and Kara, and enlightening us on what the position is and for the, important work this branch is doing and just being part, it's so proud. It's such a pride thing to be part of this agency. So thank you for the incredible work. And we really want to hear from, folks. So thank you for attending. And if there are any questions, please do not discourage yourself. Apply. Like I know sometimes we'll be like, do I meet this attribute? Do I meet it fully? Do I have it directly? Just, do your best. If you don't have the full, think about, any relevant skills and put it out on their application material. So, because we go through cover to cover, line to line, there's no software out that does the screening for us. Even if we get 100 of applications, we do the screening, it's manually. So we do go through all the applications. But again, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. But with this, I wish you all a very wonderful rest of your days. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
Take good
you.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.